I guess once that narrative around, if he doesn't make the finals, they could terminate his contract. I think that was put a lot of pressure on the club, put a lot of pressure on the team and Des.
Yeah.
And not being able to come up with the results, you could see that this was going to happen.
Well, it's Queensland time once again here on Nine's Wide World of Sports as we count down to round 26 of the NRL season. As always, I'm Adam Jackson, joined by Queensland Origin legends Darren Lockyer and Wally Lewis. Also, special thanks to Tab, our presenting partner for this episode. And I don't know, speaking of Tab, if they have to honour my bet or not, because my Tab big call, the OG of the big calls at the start of the season was no coach would be sacked mid-season, but I don't know on a technicality. Des Hasler has technically been sacked, but he's going to coach the last 2 games this season. What are your guys' view on that? Am I right or am I wrong, or is it a grey area?
I think you're out of the money, mate.
Oh, what?
I think you're out of the money, yeah.
You got to support me. Well, come on, back me.
Well, there's a technicality there.
Yeah.
How much is the middle of the season?
Yeah.
Compared to where we go. I don't think anybody expected it to hear it any other way than a coach being sacked.
Yep.
Very sad times, but a very difficult issue to make a judgment on. If you've got a coin, we'll use it right now.
Maybe.
Well, that's a glass half full to a glass half empty, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I was going to donate the money to one of the junior clubs in Queensland, so maybe we can get the Tab on board to do that. Maybe Lockie's old junior club or one of mine up in North Queensland. But anyway, let's move to the matter at hand. Des Hasler's sacking, the big talking point here in Queensland at the moment. The right call? It seems as though it had been in the works for quite some time.
Mm.
Yeah, look, I think it's been a difficult season for Des and the Titans, and I guess once that narrative around, if he doesn't make the finals, they could terminate his contract. I think that was put a lot of pressure on the club, put a lot of pressure on the team and Des.
Yeah.
And not being able to come up with the results, you could see that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone was too surprised when it was announced.
Yeah, look, you could be supportive of any other club in the competition, particularly if it was one of the Queensland ones. I don't think that this was enjoyable. It's not a great thing. Certainly not a good thing for Des. He's achieved plenty already in rugby league. Took on what he termed the ultimate challenge, and he was very determined to succeed. Unfortunately, that wasn't able to go ahead, and it was very trying on Des. I've got to say that I do remember looking at the screen on a number of occasions, and he looked lost. He looked absolutely furious. Probably he was disappointed in his own display, but just as much disappointed in the players. I didn't expect to see this occur at the Gold Coast with Des Hasler in charge, though. Yeah,
I just felt as though it was the wrong fit from the start, especially replacing Justin Holbrook. So the knock on Justin Holbrook, who took them to the finals in 2022, I think he wasn't a defensive-minded coach enough. They brought in Des, and they've gone backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I guess the common phrase that's been tossed up is it just hasn't worked, and maybe you're right. Maybe Des's, his approach that he had that was successful at Manly and got the Bulldogs to a grand final, maybe that's just hasn't evolved enough to work with the current squad that's at the Titans. And it's always, it's never a fun thing to see, a coach get moved on like that. And I'm sure he would have learnt some lessons from it. I'm sure the players did as well. But the one thing that I would say in a positive note is that he's handled it very well.
Yeah.
And probably the thing that sticks out for a lot of people, Adam, was the look upon Des throughout the course of that disappointment where he was blowing up. He was absolutely furious, but in a way, I think Des was trying to inspire the players to get up and produce a little bit better performance. He's already proved that he can coach, been to some good results before, but by the end of it, I think it'd be fair to say that Des was a little bit lost. And I've been there. I was, if I'm, you're putting a set of brackets around that. I was a woeful coach by the results of my club.
Can you remember when they flicked you on the Gold Coast? Was there a meeting or a point that stands out?
Yeah, well, I think there was. I walked into the office and I basically said, that's it. I've had enough. It's not working. I've tried to get it around, and they had a bit of a stand-in bloke. I can't remember his name, don't want to remember his name, coming in at the time, and he was saying, well, you're delivering the message that I was about to deliver you. So that was it. But, Des he's already achieved plenty of good things in rugby league. He's achieved some good things in coaching as well, but this wasn't part of it. And I think the frustration that was clearly evident in the back half of the season made it very difficult for him to go on and achieve success.
Well, he's not Robinson Crusoe in being, I guess, moved on as a coach at the Gold Coast.
Yeah,
it seems to happen a fair bit. And I guess the next guy in line, Josh Hannay, he's got a big task in front of him.
Yeah, what do you guys think of that appointment, Josh Hannay?
Well, I think, the quick answer is yes, good.
Yeah.
I guess to articulate on that, I think, you look at Craig Fitzgibbon, did a long apprenticeship, come out and, was pretty successful at the Sharks straight away, and he's kept them in the finals.
Yep.
And I think Jason Riles is another example of someone who's done a long apprenticeship under some good coaches, and he's come to Parramatta. They won't play finals this year, but you can see there's green shoots of improvement. So I think if you look at those two models, Josh Hannay is another one of those. He's done a long apprenticeship. He's obviously worked with some good coaches and with Billy at Queensland. So I think he's the right fit for that particular group right now.
Yeah, I think Johnny Cartwright was the only one that really achieved success, wasn't he?
Yeah, he took them to a prelim final.
Final, and that was something else for the coast. And I remember there were celebrations going on there, and he did a very good job. The following year it wasn't so good for the coast. So it'll be interesting to see the decision-making process, what fits into that.
And first-time full-time coach has been a Queenslander. Do you think maybe that makes a difference to have that connection with the community on the Gold Coast?
Yeah, I didn't know. I was unaware of that stat, but I think there's been a bit of talk about his connection with the State of Origin players like Tino, and so that's obviously plays its part. There's a lot of people say he's a great communicator. I just think, if you look at maybe Des, And the thing with Josh is he's a young coach, right? So maybe he can connect with those younger players more, given his age. So I guess the proof will be in the pudding. But the guy, like I said, he's done a long apprenticeship under some good coaches. And if you're looking at the model of what's happened in the past with Craig Fitzgibbon and Jason Riles, well, I think it's positive for the Titans.
Yeah. He was at the Cowboys for a lengthy period. He played at the Cowboys, then was under Paul Green before he moved to the Sharks too. And he's been Billy Slater's right-hand man in State of Origin the past 4 years. So they've won 3 out of the 4 series. He's the X's and O's behind-the-scenes guy for Queensland. And being in camp, reporting a lot of the times with their outside, like the team tent setup they have doing the crosses, and quite often Josh Hannay's the first person there in the morning and the last person to leave at night. So he's extremely dedicated, and the players do like him.
Well, you would have interviewed him a fair few times.
He's very calm. He's very measured.
You can get an insight into a type of coach by the way they talk at press conferences. So calm and measured.
Yeah, and he does a lot of the press conferences the day of Origin, so they always put up the assistant coach, which is sometimes a tough carry when you're under pressure to win an Origin game. And he's really impressed me how eloquent he has been, and just his calmness around the players. And hearing Tino talk yesterday, he did an interview with Channel 9, he really reinforced how well Josh Hannay is in getting players up for the game. I know Origin is completely different to a 28-round season in the NRL, but it was interesting that Tino said that he's very good at motivating you to get up for a game.
Yeah, well, he's got a job in front of him, but I think it's a good appointment and good luck to him.
Yeah, he would have been one of the guys that I would have had in the short list. I know I talked up Ben Teo. He's another coach of the future, I think. But, yeah, Josh Hannay's an excellent appointment. They've changed up their back office roles as well, too. So Anthony LaFranchi moves sideways and Scott Sattler comes back in as their head of football.
Yeah, very interesting decision being made with Sats. He's a fantastic fella in charge of the football office. I think that's something that will be very positive. I can honestly say I've known Scotty for quite some time. He was on the coast when I was there. I don't know a single person that doesn't like him.
Yep.
He's a wonderful operator. He's got personality. He's got manners. And he's got knowledge about football. And the name of Sattler is very famous in the rugby league world. So I think that having him in that position will be very beneficial for the Gold Coast.
Yeah, look, he's a good guy. He's got very knowledgeable about the game, and he's a great communicator. So I think those three things will makes him the right person to be in that role.
Yeah.
And he's from the Gold Coast, very passionate. His dad was one of the guys who helped to get the Gold Coast into the NRL back in the day, the old Giants, Seagulls, Chargers days, whatever you want to call it. It really has an eye for talent too. I know Salty and I commentated a lot of Queensland Cups games with Sats, and he'd always be sitting there and like, Jacko, have a look at this centre, look at his footwork. I remember he pointed out Harry Grant back, it would have been 2018, 2019 days for the Falcons. The only downside is that yesterday Sats texted me and said, if you're going to mention me on the news, can you show that tackle from 2003?
Well, I was about
the
to
grand
say,
final?
about to say, you know his nickname is, eh?
What's his nickname?
53.
53.
It was in the 53rd minute.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned everyone likes Scott Sattler. One person who probably doesn't is poor old Todd Byrne. Every time that gets showing up, the winger getting run down by the back row forward.
No, I think Scotty will often brag that he was the only one that had the pace, the blinding acceleration to be able to chase down a winger and win the game, win the grand final for his club.
It was a fair tackle.
Yeah, it certainly was. 2003 grand final, Panthers win. How much work does Hannay have to do now to convince Tino to stay, do you think? That's got to be one of his main goals.
Oh, yeah, look, I think given the change of coach, and that's not no disrespect to Des, I think just a change of coach means a change of approach and a change of, the way they're going to do things. I think that'll instantly give Tino a bit of a new lease on life there. So I think that's without, I don't think he needs to convince him. I think maybe the next sort of 6 to 12 months will be important if he stays, but I think given there's been change at the coach, I think that's enough for Tino to just cool his jets.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Bears.
Yeah. Mal in the corner,
I'm sure Malcolm and the Bears will be in the background. Background. So I think probably that pre-season for the Titans, well, Tino will be on rep duty, but the pre-season, off-season will be a big part for those players to understand the environment they're about to go into under Josh.
Yeah, I think he'll have his mobile phone. He'll be looking at it and see a private number flashing up and wondering, is this going to be the call that I'm probably expecting? And I'd be very surprised if it wasn't.
And on David Fifita, reading between the lines, it looks like he's gone. So we've been told that he's been given permission to negotiate with other clubs, even though he's still on contract for 2026. Wayne's already expressed his interest to get him to the Rabbitohs. And you think when Wayne does that, it's more than likely going to happen?
Where there's smoke, there's fire. Look, Des might have been happy to let Dave go, and maybe Josh was too.
Yeah.
So, to me, I feel like that's Dave will end up at South.
Yeah, I agree, Lockyer. I think Wayne's probably the only coach that can get him to reach his full potential. And Benny will probably say there are challenges along the way in that task as well. But he's been able to do it to some of the toughest players in the game, and I think that it'll be a good thing for Fifita and also Benny himself.
Well, I'm sure with the talks that Josh has already had with the Titans, that, if David was to leave, then they'll have to give some money towards David leaving. Kieran retires. They're starting to free up some money. So there might be a bit of a recruitment drive coming.
Well, do you think, with the current squad then, it's a realistic goal to play finals next year? Well, there's still a few pieces of the puzzle.
The way I see it, it's a bit like the Parramatta, right? Jason Riles came in, they started off, a bit well, like they lost their first 4. But you can see them gradually improving, and the green shoots are there. He's blooded some young players. So I feel like that'll be the Titans next year. There'll be some experiments done with younger players coming through. They'll show improvement, but I don't know whether they've got enough there to play finals.
Yeah. I think their spine, they really need to have a look at that. So currently at the moment, their 3 highest paid players are forwards, Tino, Mo and Fifita. I don't know any other NRL club where your 3 highest paid players are forwards. So surely they've got to rejig the salary cap like you alluded to there before. And to me, they've got to invest in a half. They're losing Kieran Ford somewhere. They've got to get a half from. That's their weakness. Yeah. And stop buying fullbacks. You've got enough fullbacks.
AJ probably hates me saying it. He might get a start at 9. Share it with Verrills.
Yeah, we'll have a chat to Josh Hannay about that. Also, too, for the Gold Coast, do you think they need to do a better job of winning the PR battle on the Gold Coast? We see the Gold Coast Suns, if they win on Wednesday night, they'll get into the finals for the first time. They're losing a bit of ground there.
Well, I think with a change of coach, it gives a bit of optimism to the fans. But, you know, there was a bit of criticism around Des, around his, I guess, inability to sort of be endearing himself to the community there. So I think Josh will take that on board. But I think Des was just really focusing on getting the wins on the field. So I think Josh will take that on board, that he needs to connect with the community and the fan base. But equally, his focus needs to be winning footy games.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that are living on the coast are also people that have relocated. They've got themselves a new home on the Gold Coast, but for many of them, they don't have a new team to support. They go there with the full potential of supporting the team that they've loved all their lives in Sydney or Melbourne, wherever it be, Canberra, and have that opportunity. But they certainly take on the Gold Coast and are quite determined to see them play better. But I don't think they ever abandon ship with the club that they originally supported.
Yeah, I think they need to do a better job establishing their fan base and creating an identity of who they are, and almost take lessons out of what the Dolphins have done.
I've got to say, though, that one of the most surprising things for me was the strength of the high schools on the Gold Coast. Has been absolutely sensational over the years. They've had 2 of the strongest teams in the national competition, yet there hasn't been the ability for those to progress from high schools into senior grade football, and that's something that could probably be studied a little more carefully.
Yeah, you got Palm Beach Currumbin there and Qlder who actually play in the Langer Trophy Schoolboys final this week as well. And you've got that disconnect with the Burleigh Bears, who are probably the biggest club on the Gold Coast, and they're now with the Broncos. So I think they've got to sort things off the field a bit better. And
leave Burleigh where they are, mate.
Yeah. Well, Lockier's happy with them.
There was the brag too from Burleigh about we have bigger crowds. Yeah. More people come to watch us than actually go to watch the Titans, and that's a sad thing. It would be good if they were on opposite days and we're both drawing substantial crowds.
Yeah, potentially this year could be the first time ever there's more Queensland teams in the AFL finals than the NRL finals. So if the Gold Coast Suns get in, they'll join the Lions with 2 in. And at this stage, it looks as though the Broncos will be the only one, but fingers crossed the Dolphins get in. So the AFL is definitely making some inroads in Queensland, whether you want to admit it or not.
Yeah, no, totally acknowledge that. And I'm sure Josh has got that on his radar, that he wants to do obviously very well on the field, but also, he wants to create that connection to the fan base and community off the field.
Yeah, yep. And moving on now to the Broncos, bit of a whisper that Adam Reynolds could be back next week. How do you think they'll line up when Reynolds does come back? Because Billy Walters has done an exceptional job filling in at 6. Is it a case of going back to the start of the season, Hunt Reynolds halves combo?
Again, I don't know what Madge is thinking, but I think the logic would be that Ben probably moves to 6 and Billy goes back to playing hooker, which he's had a great year, Billy.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, I agree with you, Lockyer, and I've been super impressed with his performances at hooker. I think he does a wonderful job from there.
Well, he speeds the game up for the Broncos. He comes on and his mindset is run. Yeah. As soon as he gets a quick play of the ball, he's off. Yeah. It just gets you on the front foot.
Yeah, and one of the parts of his game, it's standard procedure for those that read the game, is he'll pass the ball to whoever's got it in the ruck. He's running up the dummy half for that next play, and he's got his head like that. It looks like it's in a pinball machine.
Yep.
He's just looking around for where there's a weakness in the opposition defence. Are they short of numbers on one side? And I think he reads the game very well.
Pretty ruthless display against the Knights on the weekend there too. What did you guys like about that?
It took them a little while to get away with it, but once they got away, they play with that flair and that confidence. And I still think they were a little bit clunky there, and maybe that's getting used to new halves. But for me, getting an 80-minute performance together is still something the Bronx haven't really done this year. Not on a lot of occasions, anyway.
Yeah,
they've been patchy. Sometimes they've had a really good 40 minutes, and then the second half or first half has been completely different. The one stat that I looked at just then that probably still alarms me is they missed 40 tackles.
Yeah, okay.
Even though they only let in 12 points, they still missed 40 tackles, which is way too many.
Yeah, if you're going to play against a side with better attacking prowess than the Knights in the finals, you're going to get penalised for that too. Yeah. And what I liked is Reece Walsh playing with a smile on his face. He seems a bit re-energised to the fact that he needs to take a bit more leadership with the change of the halves, no Ezra and Adam Reynolds, and he's really lifted the last couple of weeks.
I think I reckon I don't know for sure, but I thought he looked a tiny bit, maybe 1 or 2 kilos too heavy early in the year.
Yeah, okay.
But I feel like he's just got his zip back.
Just gliding.
He's got rid of the knee brace. That was restricting him, and I reckon he's maybe dropped 1 or 2 kilos, and he's just got that acceleration back, and I think that makes a huge difference to his game.
What do you think of the try assist to Kobe Hetherington? He would have scored the try, but he passed it back to the milestone man in his 100th game. Like it or not?
There's pros and cons to it, right? Like, it's an unselfish play to give it to Kobe because it's his teammate's 100th game.
Yeah.
Maybe if we're 30 in front,
Yeah.
I guess if it doesn't work, because I think we're only 6 or 8 points in front of that stage. If it doesn't work out, it's catastrophic.
Yeah.
You could expect a noose to come out onto the field. Yeah, I mean, it's a 50-50 one. You're going to get people to say that's a smart aleck move, no need to do it. Others saying, well, he did it for exactly as you said, Lockyer. So you're always going to have pros and cons there.
I liked his as the team.
It was unselfish.
I like the team mentality with it. I just wonder whether it's the right time and place, that's all.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see Rabbitohs players do it to Alex Johnson in the last round. Anytime someone makes a break in the in-goal area, so he can break that record.
Oh, you know what? There's probably a fair chance. Although have they got a bye?
They've got a bye this week. Then they play the Roosters in the last round. So
well, I reckon there could be, they might be on.
Yeah. So while we're speaking of that, let's move on to our tab Big Call. So a couple of big games this week. So the Storm played the Roosters. No Sam Walker for the Roosters. Also, Storm got a few plays out, but it's Craig Bellamy's 600th game in that one, so they'll want to get up for it. You'll see Saturday night, live and free, the Cowboys-Broncos derby from up there in Townsville. And then Sunday afternoon, also on Nine's Wide World of Sports, the Dolphins up against the Titans. Boys, any big calls coming out of those games or anything else?
Yeah, I reckon we've got 2 Queensland derbies, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, normally when there's a coach sacked, there's a reaction, but they're also playing the Dolphins, who got nearly 60 put on them again.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the Dolphins in a big win.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to go 20 plus.
Yeah, okay.
And Hammer to get a double.
Oh, there you go. Hammer to get a double. Dolphins 20 plus.
Yeah, I think I'll go for the Dolphins as well there, 20 plus. I guess that could happen. I don't know whether I've got the courage to do it, but I think they'll win for plenty of reasons, actually. It'll be a performance that is certainly going to be very much appreciated by the coaching staff.
Well, I'm sticking solid with my Cowboys. The Cowboys to get the upset over Big Brother, because that's the Cowboys' grand final. The Cowboys have the bye in the last round, so all their eggs will be in the one basket, and they'll love nothing more than to end the season by upsetting the Broncos. And I'm going to go Tom Dearden for a try, because it seems every time you watch the Cowboys play, Tom Dearden scores a try. So there we go. So a couple of Dolphins wins there and a Cowboys victory over the Broncos in that one. And while we're on the Dolphins, let's talk a little bit more about them. They've kind of gone off the boil the last 3 weeks, and you mentioned their lack of defensive resolve there, Lockyer. 160 points they've conceded in 3 games.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about how many points they're scoring.
Yeah.
And now it's sort of completely flipped to 180, and now they're letting in too many points. Look, I think Herbie Farnworth missing, and then Hammer having to go to centres. I mean, Fuller comes with a ball of energy.
Yeah.
But there's just, there's something, obviously, since all those changes with Hammer going to centre and Fuller at fullback, there's something that's missing there at the moment.
Yeah, and you're right, Lockyer. When they make those moves, they appear to be tiring so much quicker in a match. It's not just the physical fitness as well; it's the mental stability that they're probably being challenged on. So there's been some tough calls for them, and it'd be interesting to get a little bit of a list on who's had the most changes and forced positional changes throughout the course of the year. I don't think the Dolphins will be far from the top.
Yeah, I think Dolphins and Rabbitohs are the most decimated by injuries. Throughout this season as well. And speaking of the Dolphins, it looks as though, based on training today, I was out there at Redcliffe, Herbie was back on the field running. So he won't play this week, but potentially he could play next week, they're saying. So the Dolphins scenario is they play the Titans this week, and then the last round of the season, it's a Sunday afternoon game out there at Redcliffe against the Raiders. So I think if they're still in finals contention, Herbie will play that game.
Yeah, and the Raiders might rest some of their players.
If they've got the minor premiership wrapped up.
Yeah, and it'd be similar with the Broncos and the Storm. Storm might rest players too. But, yeah, they've got to... One of the real features of their game mid-season was their defence in terms of their physicality.
Yeah.
They were bashing teams into submission, and then they'd score points off the back of that. I think they've lost that intensity defensively.
Yeah.
And so... I'm predicting that they'll bring that back this week, given they'll be embarrassed what happened down at Manly.
Yeah, I agree with that, and probably, as Lockyer said, you could just see how they seem to be tiring much quicker throughout the course of the match. That's hasn't been a real benefit for them, but when they really do need it, as long as they time that to perfection, I think we could see them perform very, very well in that last game to guarantee that they'll be there in the business end of the season.
It's becoming a worrying trend, though, for the Dolphins in a finals position mid-season and then fading out. Why do you think that keeps happening 3 years in a row?
Yeah, it's a tough question. It's a tough question because I guess when you take out a couple of experienced players, like Herbie, I know he only plays in the centres, but he brings a lot of energy, brings a lot of experience to them. And, and then moving Hammer from his position where, he scores tries, but he saves them too.
Yeah.
So I think there's just been 1 to 2 injuries that they've had to readjust their lineup, and that's had a massive impact. So why they fade late in the year, it could be more mental than physical.
Yeah. I just got the sense the last 3 weeks they've almost been looking at the ladder, thinking it comes a point, they always say it's 1 week at a time, but surely they know in the back of their minds, hey, if we beat the Roosters, we're a step closer to the finals. Hey, we lost that one. Hey, if we beat the Broncos, hey, if we beat Manly, there's 3 teams they could have beaten, and it just becomes a snowball effect.
Yeah, it's almost like the old boxer, mate. I think that, he's got in the back of his mind, if I stay on my feet, I'm going to win on points, but got to be able to hang around as long as I can. And if the stability's there, certainly it's going to be very much tested throughout the course of it. If they do that with 1 game to go, though, I think they'll be inspired. They really will be inspired to produce their best on that game.
Yeah, I think they need to send a carton of beer to the Eels too with their big upset over the Roosters last week to effectively keep them in it.
There were some games there I was like, how did that happen? The Eels was one of them. I never saw that coming.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Sam Walker?
So he got concussed early in that game, so part of the stand-down period he has to miss that game against the Storm. So the Roosters finished the season against the Storm and then the Rabbitohs. So potentially you could have the situation that Wayne Bennett's Bunnies beat the Roosters in the last round
to get the old Dolphins.
So old Wayne Bennett could do his old club a favour to get them in. You reckon Wayne won't have the Rabbitohs firing for that last round match against the Rabbitohs? Off a bye too.
Yeah. That'll be a big game.
Yeah.
That'll be a big game.
I think that's the Friday night game.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins play Sunday afternoon. So the Dolphins will know regardless what they have to do. I think the Dolphins is the second last game of the round.
Yeah, and while Wayne, I'm sure, would like to do the right thing by a former club, I think it's the current club that he's got in his mind at the moment to be able to finish up the season in the right way while he's in charge of them. That will be his number one priority. There's no doubt about that.
Well, getting Cody Walker back was enormous. He is the late, like he's Cliff Lyons. Some of the stuff he does down that left edge, and he's Alex Johnson. I know the Roosters are going good and they had a bit of a hiccup on the weekend, but Alex Johnson's a good chance given what Cody Walker can do inside him to get that record.
Yeah, so huge final round game. That one, Rabbitohs up against the Roosters. And just finally on the Dolphins, I know we all would have loved to see them win last weekend. It was kind of mixed emotions with DCE. Having such a good game in his 350th, you can't help but admire the way he handled himself for that occasion.
Yeah, and it was good to see the fans, there for him. Good to see that his teammates, got the performance that they needed to win that game. Because Ben Hunt was the other one. He was his 350th too, and they got a good win. It's when you've seen players that have been such servants to the game for such a long time, you want to see him win and be happy. And so it was great to see DCE get his win in a special milestone, equally for Ben Hunt.
Yeah, and it was very obvious that how thankful DCE's teammates were, putting in extra efforts, wanting to make sure that they get to be able to celebrate the right way. And he's been a wonderful player for the game.
Yeah, and what about the stat too? So every one of his 350 games for Manly, he's worn the number 7 jersey. So he's never played like 6, 5, 8 or 14 off the bench when he was coming through the grades, or like the random 19 from reserve grade.
So 350 in
the 7 jersey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So besides 1 and 6, you would have worn for the Broncos?
But I came back from injury, wore 19 once, so...
Big heavy jersey, that with the extra number on it, isn't it?
So 1, 6, I wore the 7 every now and then.
Yeah. When you first started, was it still back in the day of like you'd play reserve grade and then still have your number if you came to first grade?
Yeah, so 19 was you were 5'8" in reserve grade, then you sit on the bench.
Yeah.
So I wore 19 a few times, 1, 6, 7 a couple of times. And I would have... there was the 96 year that I was on coming off the bench a fair bit. I would have been 14 or 15. So, I don't have...
DC's
what about you, Wall? You 6 and 13 exclusively?
No, I wore number 8 for the vast majority. I didn't play 5'8". My first game for 5'8", I think, was for Queensland.
Yeah, okay.
I was playing lock forward for Valleys, and it's quite amusing. I show some of my old jerseys, and everyone said, "You played front row. You're number 8." No, that's the lock forward jerseys, the way that it used to be. So I played there. I think I played one game in the second row.
Yeah.
That wasn't quite as enjoyable. And other ones. I played 7. I played one at 7, where I said quite proudly, I was the fattest halfback in rugby league history, the heaviest as well. I got to play there, so that was very enjoyable.
And the Super League year, you got to pick your number, was that right?
Yeah, you did. I mean, most of us just picked the number we played. Like I was 1. Yeah. But then there was Andrew G who picked 23. Yeah. We thought, well, Michael Jordan and Gigi. Gigi didn't dunk too many. But I think there was people that had a favourite number and they selected that. So
yeah. And speaking of milestones after DCEs, there's another one for the Dolphins this week. Jeremy Marshall-King, he's won a 50th game, and you've kind of got to hand it to Jeremy Marshall-King. He did the media for the Dolphins earlier today. So his career has really gone on the rise since joining the Dolphins.
Look, I think he's one of the real key players for the Dolphins in terms of scoring points. Like he's a bit similar to what Billy Walters does. When he sees an opportunity, he jumps out, gets them a bit of ruck momentum, and I think since he's been there, he's been fantastic.
Yeah, he set up their first ever try with that a run at Suncorp Stadium against the Roosters for Hammer's first ever try. So congratulations to Jeremy Marshall-King. You'll see that game live and free on Channel 9 on Sunday afternoon. Will the Titans get the bounce back factor for Des just before he leaves? And also a reminder too, free Saturday night football, 2 Queensland derbies. You'll get to see the Broncos and the Cowboys live and free here on 9 on Saturday night. And we'll be back here next week on Queenslander to wrap up the season.